Hey everybody, Greg here from therunningdrummer.com. Welcome. Okay, first, this video is going to be about the New York City Marathon. It's going to be about the do's and don'ts. It's going to be about my previous New York City Marathon, which I PR'd. I had a personal record, and I'm going to tell you what I did wrong in that race. And although it was a personal record, I could have done better, and there were a lot of mistakes that I made. So I'm going to go over those with you really quick. We're going to analyze that race, and then I'm also going to analyze two of my training runs for the current New York City Marathon that's coming up this year in 2018. And I'm going to show you how the plan that I've put forth here looks like it's going to help me PR again. And I'm predicting that because I know that I've put a whole lot of training in this year, and I'm going to kick some serious butt. So anyway, without further ado, so here we are at my Garmin Connect website, which is, I use a Garmin 610. It's an old watch. I was actually using the 310 on this particular race. This was back in 2011. So let's get into this really quick on the do's and don'ts. So I'm going to click on View Details, and if you don't have a GPS watch and you're a runner, you're new to running, I highly recommend that you get a GPS watch, either the Garmin or any other brand that's out there. You can get them on eBay, they're really cheap, or just use your phone. I use an app called Runtastic, which I find to be really good as well. But, and the Runtastic app seems to be a little bit more accurate based on the number of satellites that our phones use as opposed to the number of satellites that the Garmin actually uses. So again, gotta get one of those because it's information is absolutely essential in figuring out how to run better and faster. So need the info, okay, like Dr. Evil would say. Okay, so we're gonna click on splits, and we're gonna go over this really quick. So you can see that my initial split, my first mile, was at 7:20. 7:20 for the New York City Marathon, and the first mile is it's fine. It's good. It's not, nothing crazy. As you can see, the first mile of the New York City Marathon is the Verrazano Bridge, and it's uphill. It's a good half mile uphill, and then it's basically a half mile downhill. So, or about a mile actually of downhill. So keep that in mind. First mile is uphill, so it's going to be a little slower than you probably want it to be. Now, 7:20 for me was fine. I wasn't that disappointed in that. Heart rate was fine. There's a lot of excitement going on. A lot of adrenaline pumping. You got all these people running around you. It's craziness. So if you look, here's my mistake, and it's very apparent and clear where I screwed up. Right here. 6:17, 6:22, 6:35, 6:36, 6:37, 6:39, 6:55, 6:34, 6:37. What the hell was I doing here? Okay? Running entirely too fast. I should have never I should have never broke a sub 7-minute mile in the beginning of this race. Pure stupidity, pure rookie mistake. Don't do it. Okay? This is too fast for me. Okay, you have to equate this to what your pace is. But for me, this was too fast. My pace ended up being 7:29. Okay. My initial thought on marathon training and running was that you should run fast in the beginning because you're never going to be able to run that fast at the end. That is not true. Okay, at all. You just have to train differently. You got to change up your training. So there you go. Way too fast in the beginning. Mistake number one. Once you get into mile 10 of New York City up to mile 13, you're in Brooklyn, okay? You're running down Bedford Avenue. And I'll get into the elevation profile really quick. 4th Avenue, flat, very flat. So again, hold your horses here. Hold back your engines. If you feel like you can... If your race pace is an 8:30, and next thing you know, you're running 8-minute miles or 7:55s, and you're like, yeah, feeling good. Don't do it. You're not going to feel good because by mile 15, 16, 17, that shit is going to catch up with you and it's going to destroy you. So don't do it. keep it at race pace or keep it below race pace. And I'm going to show you a little example of what I mean by that. So here I am, 4th Avenue, and then to Lafayette. You're going to make a left on Lafayette. It's a little bit of an increase uphill, not much, nothing crazy. You're going to go back downhill, and again, it's downhill again, and then slightly uphill through Bedford Avenue. Nothing to write home about, not crazy. It gets very quiet here because it's the Hasidic Jewish neighborhood. You're also running through the neighborhood where I am a fireman, or was a fireman, in 119 and 211's area. So look for those guys. They'll be on the side of the road, probably cheering me on. You're going to go through Bedford Avenue. It's going to get really quiet. There's Hasidic people there that are from a different world. They don't care about the marathon. They're not watching you. They will walk out into the middle of the course to cross the street. You're running directly through their neighborhood, okay? Most of them don't even realize the race is going on. So just be aware. Then you're going to get to the hipster section of Brooklyn, which is the northern side of Williamsburg. And you'll run through a lot of cool areas. The crowd's going to refill back in. You're going to have tons of people cheering. It's going to be, crazy go nuts again. Again, it's super flat pretty much the whole time, all the way through Brooklyn until you get to the Pulaski Bridge at mile 13. And you can see that at mile 13, my pace slowed down slightly, a little bit, not much, but, 13 seconds, nothing crazy. And then you get into Queens, okay? Queens, once you get into Queens, is relatively easy as well. Nothing crazy. It's going to be flat for a good, 2 miles or so, 2.5 miles. And then you're going to get to mile 15, which is where you're going to hit the Queensboro Bridge, okay? So be prepared for the Queensboro Bridge. This is a little bit of a ass kicker, if you will. Not crazy. It's a half a mile up the Queensboro Bridge, but it's going to definitely slow you down. And if you look on my race here, it slowed me down quite a bit. I went from, 7:27s to 8 minute to 9:25. So for that 2 mile period, it gets slow, right? Now, you look back here on the elevation profile, you go down. So take advantage of every downhill you can. You might want to run slightly faster than whatever your race pace is, okay? At that point, because now you're going to be running into First Avenue. First Avenue is going to be crazy. There's going to be a million people there. It's basically like running into a rock concert. There's going to be a gazillion people. It's going to be loud as hell. It's a lot of fun. It's cool. It's one of the best parts of the race. So take advantage of that little adrenaline boost and get going. And you'll see that I did that here. So I was able to kick out a 7:31 and 7:42. Now I'm running on tired legs. Now I'm tired. Not feeling great. I don't even remember what my nutrition was at that point. I think I was just drinking water, and I don't think I had any goos or anything. Terrible. Didn't follow any plan at all. Don't do that, okay? You should be getting hydration, electrolytes, and some sort of goo or whatever every 3 miles. That's my plan. That should be your plan. You should train that way. At least do a couple long runs, and not only do long runs, but train for your nutrition. Put the nutrition together, buy the stuff, have it ready. Use the same brand. Don't change brands. Don't eat anything you've never eaten before on a training run. Do everything exactly the same, and that goes without saying on anything with your marathon. Don't show up to marathon day wearing a new pair of shoes, new pair of socks, new anything. Don't do it, okay? Shirt you could probably get away with, but other than that, don't. Shorts, do not. Keep your shorts the same ones that you run in all the time on your long runs. So then you get into mile 18, mile 19:20. So we'll go over that really quick. That's again very flat here, not a big deal. Then you're going to come up the Willis Avenue Bridge, which is a little bit of an increase, nothing crazy. You're going to run in over the Willis Avenue Bridge, and then you're going to be into the Bronx. And the Bronx is going to be pretty cool too. I will say this: the Bronx is awesome. It's quieter, but there's all kinds of awesome bands there playing, and DJs, and it's just all kinds of cool stuff going on. So that's really fun to run through. A lot of really cool local people hanging out there. Very cool. Then you'll see that my pace at this point, I started to, I fell apart here. And the reason I was not able to run a sub 7-minute mile after mile 19 was because I ran crazy fast here for the first basically 10 miles. Okay? Don't make that mistake. I cannot stress it enough. Don't make that mistake. Take it easy. So now I'm not capable of running anything beyond 8-minute miles, but luckily that the course is relatively flat after First Avenue. Once you start going toward Fifth Avenue, so you're gonna go over 138th Street Bridge, a little bump. You're gonna come down and it stays pretty flat all the way up to mile 23. And if anyone is a marathoner, experienced marathoner, knows that at mile 23, for whatever reason, at least for me and a lot of people that I've talked to, mile 23 is where, this is when the shit gets real. That's when it gets real. I always have, I always hit a wall at 23, 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there. I always hit a nice wall. So be prepared for that. Definitely hydrate or take some sort of goo or whatever you need to do before mile 23. You need to get something on board, preferably before you start to crash. Get some salt pills or salt tablets, whatever you got to do. Okay, take it early before you take it as preventative. Right, preventative health is the key. So once again, you can see that it gets the marathon or the course. Once you get past mile 23, now you're turning into the park. You're getting into the park, and you're going up Fifth Avenue, and then once you get past mile 24, you're into the park. You're on the East Drive, and the East Drive is pretty hilly. So you're going to go up, and then there's going to be a couple hills as you go. This elevation profile doesn't really do it any justice, but there's a decent amount of this going on, okay? So be prepared for that. And mile 25, you'll notice it goes down a little bit, but then it goes back up. And then at the very end, there's also a slight uphill. So just be ready. And you'll see that in my running here, this race, I was not, I was shot. I was done. Had no, nothing left. I was able to keep an 8:20 pace, but I was dying, okay, to do that. I did not feel very good at all. So don't let that happen to you, okay? So without further ado, let me go skip ahead to my current training so you guys can see that really quick. Now, I don't log all my runs on my watch, at least I didn't for this particular training month, only because I didn't have the thing hook up. Anyway, long story, I don't have all my runs on here, but I do have my long run, my two major long runs, which were really important. So these are great workouts. I highly recommend them. Do it about 30 days, not 30 days, about 15 days or so before your event, 15 to 20 days before your event you should do. That gives you enough time to do 2 more long runs. That's what I did. So I did a long run here, and I'll get this real quick. Let me pop up the view details. I run in the neighborhood right behind my house. I run in circles because I can, it's a good idea to do that because you can drop off nutrition and more water as you run around in circles and pick up that stuff as you go. So just, word to the wise. This is a very flat, relatively flat course. There's a slight uphill on one side of it. It's nothing significant. So we'll just get into the splits really quick. And the plan is, what I learned over the course of running marathons and getting faster is that the best way to do that is to slow your runs down, okay? Slow them down significantly. The only reason I would run fast in training before was because I didn't have time. I still don't have time, but now I realize that if I want to get faster, I'm just going to have to slow down. Slow down and do longer and do more miles, okay? So slow it down a minute to a minute and a half slower than your marathon race pace, and a lot more often. So you need to be running, if you want to qualify for Boston or you want to just have a good race and really perform well, you need to run at least 50 to 60 miles a week, bottom line, okay? So that's what I ended up doing this training cycle. I was running, 50-mile weeks, multiple 50-mile weeks. I ran multiple 20-mile runs. I ran a 50K in September. So I have a lot of miles under me. I have about 1,400 miles under my belt for this training cycle, which is a lot, I think, for me. So, there's people that run a lot more than that, but I think that's a lot. So as you look here, you can see I ran really slow for this whole entire run. Not slow, but I was a minute to a minute and a half slower than my marathon race pace. So 8:05s, 8:10s, 8:11s, whatever. If you go down, my plan was, and this is what you should try to do, is at mile 18, 18.9 more specifically, is try to run a fast 5K at the very end of your run. So I tried to push the pace at basically mile 19. So at mile 19, mile 18.9, I pushed the pace to 7:19, 6:45, 6:53, 6:41. This is a really good way to figure out if your body can handle keeping up the pace way down the road when you have a bunch of miles on your legs and your legs are tired. That's how you have to train. You got to train on tired legs. And I think I'm telling you the right. I'm pretty sure I'm telling you the right thing. As much as all the research that I've done, and I've read books and I've listened to YouTube videos and studied as much as I could about running with multiple people. Dr. Phil Melfatone, Sage Canaday, all these amazing runners and coaches and everything. That seems to be the overall consensus: is run slow and long and a lot more miles, and then the way that you get faster, or at least show that you're faster, is to push the pace when you have tired legs. Okay, so that's basically all we're doing here. So that's how I did it. You can see I was able to keep really good pace. I had no problem doing that, which I felt was amazing. I was like, wow, holy cow, I can actually run 640 paces, 650 paces in much higher mileage on my legs. So that was exciting. Then I'm going to skip down to my last long run, which was here, which another awesome workout, which I highly recommend. So I ran 20 miles at 2:27, 7:24 was the pace. I'm going to view details. And again, same course, nothing different. Same nutrition training as well. I brought my goos, I bought my RX bars, I had my water, my electrolytes, everything there. I was taking it every 3 miles. I set my watch, so your Garmin watch, which is another reason why you should have a watch, you can set an alert on your watch for every 3 miles to remember to eat. So I did that. That was very helpful. And then if you look here, what I did in this workout was 8:17, 8:07, 8:04. So I ran slow for the first 3 miles. And then the next 6 miles, I ran faster than race pace. So that's what you should try to do. 3 miles slower than race pace, a minute to minute and a half. 6 miles faster than race pace. That's a great indication of, again, not pushing the pace. You don't want to go too much faster than race pace. You can see I'm only going about 10-15 seconds faster than my overall race pace goal, which is about 7:10. So that's fine. That's where you want to be. If you increase it a little bit, you might end up going 20 seconds or maybe 30 seconds faster. That's okay too. Of course, this is the beginning part of this run. I was trying to keep it nice and easy. Wasn't trying to make my heart rate go bonkers or go crazy. So if you look at after that, then you're gonna run another 3 miles slow. Okay, 3 miles slow, nice and easy, nothing crazy. Minute to a minute and a half slower. Not a problem. I even slowed it down even more just because I ran a little bit faster on some of these miles. So I kind of slowed it down even more. But then I picked it back up to 8:08 and 8:08, almost identical, which is pretty cool. And then after those 3 miles, now I'm into mile 13. And now is another test on tired legs. So my legs are pretty tired after 12 miles of running. So I wanted to increase the pace for another 6 miles. So another 2 5Ks basically to increase your pace. So now I increase my pace 6:49, 6:53, 6:52, 6:54, 6:41, and then a 6:34. Which really was just me kind of showing off because I felt good and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling great. So let's push the pace. And if you feel that way, go for it. Don't hesitate. Don't, push the pace. Let's see what you can do. If you're feeling good. Again, always hydrating, always taking on my nutrition every 3 miles. So I took nutrition right before I started that 6 mile, right in the middle of that 6 mile, and at the end of that 6 mile, I was doing something for my nutrition. I was taking a goo, drinking, my electrolyte and water. Okay, so that's how you survive doing this. Okay, Now I get into mile 19 and 20, and I was able to, slow it down at a comfortable pace at 8:03, 8:07. So I know now going forward, and I'm really confident for my next for New York City, which is coming up on Sunday, which I will update this entire video. I'll put it all together in one thing. That I'm gonna crush. I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna definitely beat 3:15, which is my PR. I'm definitely going to qualify for Boston. I have no doubt in my mind. I think I should be able to qualify for Boston by a few minutes. My qualifying time is going to be 3:10, so I just needed to shave off 5 minutes, which I will easily do. And I'm that confident because I ran these training runs that I will be able to do that with no problem. Now, I'll just show you what I've done for tapering really quick, just because some people have questions about tapering. I run every other day. Every other day for the last 2 weeks, not including this long run. I actually took off an extra day here just because I had a little pinched nerve type thing going on, so I've been doing a lot of stretching. Nothing crazy, it's not going to slow me down. And then I did a 5-mile run, and then just basically 3.5-mile runs for the rest of the week. I might do a very slow 2-mile run tomorrow just to keep my legs nice and stretched out and loose and ready to go. And then November 4th is going to be marathon day. So here's some great information that you should take and use. There's an amazing website called feelrace.com, which I highly recommend you check it out. They have a thing called the Marathon Calculator of Marco, which really should be the Marco Marathon Calculator. I think whoever made this website is not, English is not their first language, which is okay. And actually you can read what they put in the comments, and it's pretty funny, but it's also dead on accurate. So it tells you how to run. So your marathon, it's going to give you a whole plan. I'm going to follow this plan, so I seriously recommend that you do as well if you really want to run a great marathon. So you plug in your time. I'm plugging in for 3:07. I would love to hit 3:05, which I might be able to do. But with this particular race, 3:07 is going to be where I'm going. So if you look, it slows you down quite a bit. 7:21, 7:21, 7:15, 7:15s all the way through mile 9. That should be very easy for me to do, and that's gonna keep fuel in my tank. Okay, and then I'm gonna bust out for the next 7 miles a 7:10 pace. Again, should be very easy to do. Then we're gonna get into the hard part, where we're gonna get to the mile 18, and it's gonna want you to push it up a little bit faster, about 5-6 seconds faster, 7:04 pace, all the way to the end. And what's cool about this, at the very end, it gives you a little buffer. It tells you to run slow the last mile. It says, congratulations, you've done it. Keep running until the end. Even if you had to sacrifice a couple of seconds at the end, you've achieved your target finish time of whatever you put in. Which is cool, because if you feel good here, you can really push that pace and really, destroy whatever, record you're trying to break, or whatever pace you're trying to do. So I think that's pretty cool. So again, feelrace.com, very, very cool. I hope that helps you. Let me know if you have any questions. You can shoot me an email at info@therunningdrummer.com, or you can hit me up at gregsantini@yahoo.com. Please do. I'll answer any question. And if you want to go over the New York City Marathon, or you're training for that particular marathon, or if you want to email me, and we'll I'll coach you over what you should do and how you should do it, and figure out your paces and all that stuff, let me know. All right, guys. Gracias. We'll see you after the race.